Season. Michael Clark joins us right now. He covers NC State for the NC State 24/7 sports site. Michael, personal question first. How old are you?
37.
Ooh, close. Did you have a starter jacket, like one of those satin team starter jackets growing up?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people did.
Okay. That apropos of nothing that we're talking about right now, we were talking about the Ed Sheeran special edition NFL kickoff starter jacket for $250 tonight. Anyway,
wow.
Kind of got us in a rabbit hole to start
I
things
know
today.
mine did not cost that much.
No. I think we can all collectively agree that those of us that had them did not pay $250 for them. Michael Clark covers NC State, and Michael, we've talked so much about this game between the Wolfpack and Mississippi State coming up this weekend, and the consensus around here has been that this is a really, really big game. And some of the folks that we've talked to on the NC State side of things have agreed. Do you agree, when you look at this non-conference matchup, that this is a big deal for both teams?
Absolutely. I think this is a game that, a lot of NC State fans and definitely the team, although they would tell you every week's important, and it is a game that's been circled on the calendar. To go on the road and play a prominent SEC program like Mississippi State in a hostile environment early in the season is going to be a really good test for a veteran team, but it's not often that you're going to go into an atmosphere like what they're going to see this Saturday. So it's definitely a big game. There's a lot of hype here. A lot of people are excited in the area and looking forward to the matchup.
Who's the most important player on the offensive side for NC State?
Wow, we did a countdown a couple weeks ago, and we had Akim Ekwonu, who's the left tackle, who's probably a first-round NFL draft pick. But when it comes to this game Saturday, it's got to be Devin Leary, the quarterback. Broke his leg last year, season-ending injury, and he was playing at a really high level before that happened. It was kind of hit and miss last weekend. Obviously, that's kind of to be expected coming off an injury. But he missed some throws that he would normally make. And this Saturday, quite frankly, he's got to make those. He can't miss some of the passes that he missed last weekend. There's a lot of pressure on him. But, being his fourth year in the program, I think he's ready. NC State really is going to go as far as he can carry them, I think, this season. So it'll be interesting to watch him.
Michael, for the folks that don't follow NC State closely and may have seen Devin Leary in passing somewhere in previous years, what would a good comp for him be that maybe is kind of like mainstream college football over the last, decade?
Gosh, that's a really good question. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. I basically, though, break him down. I mean, I think he's not a big guy. He's, about 6'1", about 215 maybe. The thing that you're really going to notice, and I think Mississippi State fans will notice, is the arm strength. I was an Elite 11 guy, for those who follow recruiting out of high school.
Yeah.
Really big arm. Can move, but is not, I wouldn't classify as a really mobile quarterback. I think if he's going to run, oftentimes it's going to be to extend the play. He's a unique player. Like I said, I don't think NC State per se has had a player quite, with his specific skill set. They've had some really good quarterbacks, but he's a little different, in my opinion. But the arm strength is the thing that's going to pop. Has to be more accurate. And I think Saturday a key, and if you're a Mississippi State fan, is to watch him, is when plays kind of break down. When he has to go to his third or fourth option even, sometimes that is a challenge for him. And that's going to be something I think that is going to be a major key Saturday. When things kind of go off script, can he perform well and make smart decisions?
Michael, obviously when you play Mississippi State, one of the first questions you're going to ask about an opposing defense is what does the secondary look like? State's going to throw the ball 45, 50 times this weekend. North Carolina State last week had 3 picks. I think one of them was by a linebacker, though. How up to the challenge is this secondary?
Well, and this isn't taking anything away from USF. I mean, they're rebuilding, and personnel-wise, Mississippi State is far superior and is going to test NC State. And it's for the first time in years, though, in recent memory, NC State does have some depth back there, and they've been snake bit the past couple of years by injuries, and I know everybody knows that what that usually leads to is younger players having to step up and play. Well, those younger players now are older. They also got 2 experienced corners back off of season-ending injuries last year. I just, with all that said, I just think it's going to be a really big challenge, experience or not, for NC State to, have to go in there and face an offense of Mike Leach, like Mike Leach is going to throw at them. And, your quarterback is starting to play well. I know he's coming off a big game, probably very confident. I know Mississippi State has several capable receivers. So, I think that they feel confident on the back end. But, this is going to be one of the, toughest tests of the year for them, I have no doubt.
Michael Clark, you can follow him on Twitter at Michael Clark PP, covers NC State at the Wolfpack's 24/7 sports site. Michael, I don't even know that last year, because it was such a strange year, is the right time frame to ask this question. But when a Dave Doran offense is functioning at its best, what does it look like? I mean, I saw last week, and again, taking into account kind of what USF is, 293 on the ground, 232 through the air. Is it a run-first offense? Is it a pass-first offense? Is it about balance? When is it at its best?
Well, I think his past stops include Wisconsin and then Northern Illinois, where he was the head coach before he came to NC State. And he likes to run the football. And they ran the football incredibly well last week, 40 times for almost 300 yards. But, ever since they, hired Tim Beck, who's been at Texas, Ohio State, Nebraska as the offensive coordinator, they really like to be balanced. But I think, they're going to go into Saturday trying to run the football, not necessarily even to set up the pass. They just want to run the football. That, I think, is the identity they want to have. They're physical up front. They've got a lot of experience on the offensive line. I think if you were to ask around the ACC, they would tell you that Zonovan Knight and Ricky Person probably have a chance to be, if not one of the best combos in the league, if not the best, one of the best combos in the league. So yeah. I think they're going to lean on that, and I think that's a smart thing to do in a hostile environment like they're going to face Saturday. But at the end of the day, I think Mississippi State's going to probably crowd the box at times, and like I said, that's going to force Devin Leary to have to step up and make some plays.
If things go well, are both of those guys 1,000-yard rushers this season?
Now, that's so tough because their schedule it's really tough. I mean, you've got Mississippi State coming up. You still have to play Clemson, North Carolina, and Miami. I know Miami didn't look particularly impressive last weekend against Alabama, but that could be said for virtually anybody who plays them. It's going to be tough. I think if you're going to bet on one of them, you would say Zonovan Knight. He's the big play guy of the two. Person's more of the between the tackles guy. Really physical, although he did look as healthy as since high school last weekend. But it could happen. I would lean towards it probably not happening, though, just because so many things have to factor in. The schedule is so tough, and you got to stay healthy. And both those guys have been banged up, Person especially in his career.
Michael, last thing for you. We talked about, I hate to ask a second ago about the defense. Mississippi State's offensive line. I mean, in reality, last week, the four of us could have lined up and gotten pressure on Will Rogers, at least early in that ball game. They've really struggled with 5 guys blocking 3. Tell me about the defensive line for this Wolfpack team.
Well, they lost Aleem McNeil to the draft last year with the Lions now. He was an All-American, but I think the consensus through spring ball and then last week is that they're better this year. They got 10 starters back on defense. They also added Corey Durden, a Florida State transfer, as a defensive end, 6'5", 310 pounds, but can also play the nose. They're really deep, and that has not been the case, really, even going back to when they had Bradley Chubb in that crew a couple of years ago. I mean, there was 4 guys who got drafted, but after that there was a significant drop-off. I don't see that this year. I mentioned Corey Durden, Savion Jackson, C.J. Clark are some names that fans need to know. Daniel Joseph. I mean, we can go down the list. Joshua Harris, Davin Vann. A lot of these guys were 4-star recruits in high school, really highly sought-after guys that State was fortunate to sign. And, they're in their 3rd, some are in their 4th year in the program. And in Durden's, deal, he's a 5th-year guy. I mean, so there's some there's a lot of talent there and a lot of guys who are starting to find their footing in college football. Sometimes it takes a while, but you usually see guys start to take a jump in their second and third years, and they're hopeful and encouraged by what they've seen so far. So I think definitely has a chance to be a strength. But like I said, I think NC State's going to find out a lot more about itself this week for sure.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case for both of these teams. 6 o'clock Central Time, Saturday night, Starkville, NC State, and Mississippi State. Michael, really appreciate your time this afternoon.
Hey, thank y'all for having me.
That's Michael Clark, covers NC State, joining us on the Farm Bureau phone line. Check